Hey friends, it's Lissa. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be discussing homemaking and homeschooling and how to put those two together to be successful. You know that I've been doing a series where I've been discussing things to get done before you start your homeschool year. And one thing that I feel like is important and a lot of times is missed is the art of homemaking itself and just really cultivating a peaceful, calming environment in your home prior to adding in something additional like homeschooling, which takes, I feel like, an extra set of everything, an extra set of patience, nerves, all the things. And so in this video, I hope to discuss those topics with you, as well as show you some of the things that I do around the house to not only cultivate this peaceful, healthy-ish lifestyle, but also to remind myself of the things that I enjoy doing and to do more of that throughout my days. So if you're interested in that, make sure you stay tuned and make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss any content that I create here on this channel. So I received an email from a subscriber and I wanted to read the email to you as well as reply to her in this video. So it says, "Hi Lisa, I'm subscribed to your channel and I love your content. I wanted to ask a question and thought it may be too long for the comment section. I'm looking for some tips and honest opinions on transitioning older kids to homeschool when all they know is public school. My son is upper elementary age and I'll be homeschooling him in the next academic year. He's already speaking of missing his friends, and I'm wondering if you dealt with any resistance from your oldest, as I learned from your videos that he's fairly new to homeschooling as well. Would you mind doing a video on it or maybe relaying his point on how his transition was and how he's growing to like it now? Sorry this is so long. Most of the videos I see, parents start homeschool from the ground up, and I do see benefit in that. Thanks in advance." First of all, thank you for your email. You guys are always welcome to reach out to me. And of course, as soon as I can respond to you, I will. And I always want to try to respond with quality information for you guys, things that would really be beneficial and not just like a blank statement. So it did take me a little bit to film this video to get this out there, but I knew that there was more that I needed to share and I just needed to pray about it. And the reason being is that whenever you see my kids, especially my oldest, he did go to public school for a bit and he has friends and his friends watch this channel. And so I do want to respect and protect his privacy and the conversations that could be discussed about him, even when he is around or not around. And so I try to be as careful as I can. So emails are always great. You're always welcome to email me. But again, I just have to be as respectful as I can here on the internet and on social media in general. And so I do appreciate this question because I do get it a lot. And I feel like I'm at a good space where I can respond and reply. And hopefully if you have a question such as this video will help you as well. So we transitioned Cam into homeschooling, I believe, the end of his 6th grade year. And before that, we had made a lot of changes. Like we bought a house in an area that we felt more comfortable in so that he can go into a school district that we felt more comfortable with. So school has always been extremely important to us. Academics is extremely important to us. At that time, I was working at a college, and Jeremy, as you know, he was an accountant, so he had that job. I was working at a college, and I knew the importance of education, early education, as it relates to even, high school and beyond. So I understood the importance, and it became more real to me once I was the person in charge of, helping students get into college. So from that perspective, I wanted him to have the best education possible with consideration of our finances, right? We couldn't afford to put him in a private school. It just wasn't an option for us. So with our finances, we wanted him to be in the best possible situation. And so we decided to move into a better area, or so we thought, as far as academics was concerned to get him into that school. So that happened 4th grade and then 5th grade and then 6th grade. So he did 3 years. And we were not happy. We were not happy. We were not impressed with his thing. We weren't impressed with with the school, with their plans, academically, with friends. Like, we were just not impressed. We were very disappointed. And so when the pandemic hit, I had already been home from work for 2 years. So I've been home for 2 years, and I had already started homeschooling Jace. And so Jace is 6.5. Yes, Jace is 6.5. So I had already started doing like tot school with him. So I already had that plan that Jace and Savannah were going to be homeschooled because I was home at this point. I was able to be a homemaker and do all the things in the home. And so with the struggles that we had with Cam in school, we knew that the younger two were going to be homeschooled. And so once the pandemic hit, we already had in our mind that we wanted to bring him home. It was just that fear. And if you have a kid in school, and I like this mom that sent me this email, if you have a kid in school, you know that gut feeling of wanting to pull your baby out of school, but being scared and being fearful just because of what other people would say or think, or what your baby would say or think. That was there. That is real. That was there for me. And for my husband, he was just like, just do it. Like, it's what's best. He is a numbers person. He is a bottom line person. So he's like, bottom line is he would have a better experience. He'd get a better education. We need to just do it. Like, there's nothing to it. Let's just get it done. You know, there's no better teacher than you. And so pandemic hit, and the virtual learning happened, and it was a mess. It was a mess for everyone. And at that moment, I decided, nope. We don't know how long this is going to last. Like, this is my sign. This is God telling me that it is time. Like, it is time to pull him out of school, and it is time to bring him home and teach him yourself. And, you know, will we struggle? Yes. But I knew that God was telling me that he was going to be there with me the entire time. And when I tell you, he was there the entire time. And yes. So to answer the question, yes, it was difficult. It was very difficult. It was more challenging, I would say, than I anticipated or than I could plan for. And I'm not saying that to scare you or to let fear set in, but I'm saying it to be as real as I can, to be as realistic as I can. It was so hard. And the reason that it was hard, teaching him was not hard. That part was not hard. The hard part came from individuals around us, individuals outside of our home that we allowed to make an impact in our home. That was the hardest thing about it. We knew that this was the best decision. I knew that this was the best decision for him. And I knew that he was a kid. He was in 6th grade. He was 11 or 12 years old. Like, he doesn't know what's best for him at that age. He just wants to play with his friends. And so as parents, it's our responsibility to do and make the best decisions for them, because they don't know. They don't know how to make those decisions. And change is hard. It's hard for anyone. And so some of the things that I feel like I wish I would have known or done differently is, one, the deschooling is real, right? So when we started back up, he would have been in 7th grade. And I decided to start back in 6th grade, which was one of the smartest things that I did. So I started in like a 6th grade level, and I thought, like, we're going to work through the 6th grade curriculum first, see where you are, see how you do, and then we'll move on to the next grade level as I see fit. That was perfect. That worked well. We ended up doing 6th grade from August to December, and then January we started 7th grade. So in 1 year we completed 2 grades, and he was doing fabulous, okay? However, deschooling is a real thing, okay? Because Jace and Savannah were used to like the structure already, because we did tot school, they were always ready to get started on school. They were ready to go at any given moment. They were ready to get their school done, and they were excited to do it because they were so little. They were in preschool, okay? So they were ready to go. They were ready to roll. Our groove was there. It was set. For him, He was used to that school structure, and I didn't have that. We have a more relaxed, more calming environment, and he was used to that rowdiness of a classroom. He was used to the loud talking. He was used to, the laughing all day and like the multiple interruptions throughout the day. He was used to all of that. And we did not have that going. We had a flow. And so we bumped heads because I could see like the class clown coming out, or I could see him just being bored in class. And was he challenging me? Absolutely, he was challenging me. He was trying to call my bluff because he wanted to go back to school. So his thought was probably like, hey, if I get on her nerves enough, she's gonna send me back to school. That's just what it is. She's gonna get tired of me, and I'm going to show her that I'm tired of her, and I'm going to go back to school. And that's the reality of it, is that they will call your bluff. And he has called my bluff several times, okay? And there has been several moments where I have been like, listen, I can't do this no more. I'm not doing it. I can't do it. You go your way. I'm going to go my way. And we're just going to go our separate ways. But then God steps in, and he reminds me of a why. He reminded me why. And that's what the biggest thing is you have to know why you're doing this. Why are you homeschooling? What is the purpose? It's bigger than us. Like, I'm homeschooling. It's bigger than me. My goal is to break generational cycles and curses. My goal is to make sure that my babies have the best education possible. My goal is to make sure that my babies know how to learn no matter what environment they're in, that they're independent learners and lifelong learners, and that God can find his way into their lifestyle, into their homes, into their hearts every day of their life beyond our home. My goal is to make sure that they're brought up in a peaceful environment where they know how to cooperate and where they know how to, curate a space like this of their own, where they can teach their kids, if they choose to homeschool or not, where they have the ability to educate their kids no matter what the circumstances are, no matter if they're in a traditional school setting or if they're home, so that they can support their spouses if they choose to homeschool, if they choose to educate their kids, and so that they can actually teach their kids life lessons. Because in homeschool, it's not always about like the traditional academics, but there are also life lessons that are taught right in homeschool. And I feel like a lot of times those things get skipped over because we expect the kids to go to school and learn those things from other kids at school, when that really shouldn't be the way. Yes, kids will pick up on habits and things like that from other kids, but why put all of that responsibility in the hands of people that you don't even know? So I'm going off on a tangent with that one, but it's just to kind of open your eyes and remind you that there will be some deschooling happening. And in this deschooling, you will go through so many different people telling you and your kids what to do and how to do it, when you should put your kid back in public school. And all of these things are going to settle into your child's brain at a smaller level because they really can't grasp the understanding of it all. So it kind of settles in their brain, and it adds fuel to the fire of them thinking that the best place for them to be is in a traditional school setting. So how do you combat that? My response is that you don't. You don't need to combat that. You don't need to feed that fire. You don't need to add fuel to that fire. All you need to do is be the best homeschooling parent you can today, every single day. So it's constantly resetting yourself, constantly reminding yourself every day that the next day will be a fresh day. The next day will be a new day, and you'll get to do it again. And you thank God for the day that you received, the things that you got. Sometimes, to be honest with you, I would go a whole day trying to help him and trying to teach him. And because he didn't want to be there, he would not retain anything. But the one thing that he retained, the one thing that he remembered, is that no matter how foolish you act, I'm still showing up every day. We're still going to be right here at this table every day. We're going to open up this book and we're going to continue to learn until you catch on. So pushing past all of that is so hard. But if I could tell you anything, build up your power, build up your muscle to keep going. Like, you have to have a strong commitment to continue and to keep going through the hard times, because you cannot escape the deschooling process where they're used to what they're used to. They've been going through that for years. And I read somewhere that it takes the kid a month for every year they were in public school to deschool. And I completely agree with that. So when you think about it, Cam spent the first 6 years in a traditional school setting, and the first 6 months of our school year we spent deschooling. And I would even go to say that it was longer than that. I would go to say that the first year, the half of the 6th grade and the half of the 7th grade year, or the rest of the 7th grade year, was rough. It was rough, and I wanted to pull my hair out. But there is not a time that I will ever give up on my kids unless it's interfering with the relationship that I have personally with them. Okay. Now, when I pulled him out of school, we pulled him out with the intention that he would go back to school for his high school year. And why did we do that? Because we had so much chatter in our ear of, well, you're going to let him go back to school when he's a freshman, right? You're not going to homeschool him for high school, right? You're going to let him be with his friends for high school, right? Those were all the questions that we got. And they weren't really questions. It was like this passive aggressive conversation that people were having with us to let us know that this is what's best for your kid. You really need to let them go back to school. So what I will say, if you're going to pull your kids out of school, set the tone that this is it. Set the tone that they're coming out of school and they're not going back to public school. Because if you give them even a small window of hope that they're going to go back to school, they're going to show up with the attitude of, yeah, I'm just going to get this over with. I got to do my time. I just got to do my next 3 years and then I can go back and be with my friends. Like, don't allow that moment to sit in with your kids. That was a mistake that I made, of even just allowing him a moment to plant a seed and water it every day with his attitude of coming back and saying like, yeah, all I got to do is this for a couple years. Jace and Savannah, they know. If you ask them, are they ever going to a traditional school setting? Which I despise that question. But if they're asked, they're like, no, we're not. We're going to be homeschooled. And that's it. Like, that's all they got for you. So don't give them that window of hope that they're going back. Like, this is our life. This is what we're doing, and we're moving forward. Regardless of how you show up, you're going to show up. You're going to be at this table. I'm going to teach you because I love you. And because this is where, if you're a believer, this is where God wants you to be. And this is where he wants me to be. This is where we're our best at, right here. This is what we're going to do. Cam has friends in the neighborhood that he went to school with because we're still in the area. So he gets on his bike and him and his friends, they go to the gym and they go to the park and they still hang out. If they were bad influences, that wouldn't be happening. But because I'm fine with that and because his friends know, like, oh, you homeschooled, your mama must be strict. That's what he gets all the time. I'm not strict. Maybe I am a little bit, but I'm not as strict as some parents. But I always correct that. No, it's not that I'm strict. It's that I care. And it's not that your parent doesn't care. It's that I care in my own way. This is how I care. This is how I care for my child, my kids. And your parents care differently for you. And that's to any adult as well. This is how I show up for my kids. And this is how I show that I care for my kids. We didn't set boundaries early enough with family members. And that's something that I regret. I wish I would have done that. Setting boundaries of, hey, we're homeschooling the kids. I know you're going to have questions, but trust that we're going to make the best decision for our babies and for our kids. And if you have questions about it, instead of asking the kids, just ask us about it. It's already hard enough that they're going through this transition. We're doing it because we know that this is what's best for us and for our family. So if you have any concerns, reach out to us and we can talk about it. But please don't go questioning the kids. And that's a hard one. It is, but boundaries are important and you need to set them. You need to set boundaries with everyone in your life so that they know where you stand. And if they ask if you're going to put them back in school, tell them no. And if that changes and we feel like you need to know, we'll let you know, because they'll continue to ask you over and over and over and over and over again. They will ask, and they will make the process of deschooling even more challenging. And on those days when you're doubting yourself, you'll think about them asking you that. And that'll be another, like, should I even be doing this? Like, is this where God wants me? So, yeah, just make sure that you're setting your boundaries. So I think that Cam had FOMO, fear of missing out, on things like dances and sports events. And he recently told me that he thought he was going to miss out on driver's ed if he didn't go to high school. And so just being open and honest and having those conversations, like, you're not missing out on anything. In my area, you can check in your area, but in my area, we pay taxes to this school in our area, so we can take advantage of all of their sports activities. And so we did that. We still did Cam was still on their track team and their cross country team because that's what he wanted. He now wants to do soccer. So your kids can still participate possibly in activities in your area. If not, go to your local YMCA. I'm sure there's sports teams and things like that around. And so we actively participate in sports activities outside of homeschool so that the kids can see their friends and things like that. So there is some fear of missing out, and then an attitude will be built if the kids feel like they are missing out. I'm trying to see what else there was. On top of that, I feel like family and friends apply their own pressure trying to be the advocate for your child. And so I feel like setting the boundary kind of eliminates that, letting them know, like, we don't need you to advocate for them. We got this. We got this. And like being very firm with that and saying no, thank you. So my advice overall is to stand firm in knowing why you're doing this and set clear boundaries with your family and your friends. As hard as it is, as hard as it will be, don't look for ways to impress them and show them that this is why homeschooling is great. And if they aren't homeschooling, they'll never understand. So do you, because you know it's best. Your kids are going to give you attitude. It's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. Remember your why. Did my son like it? No, he did not. He was not. I'm not going to tell you that he was this big rah-rah cheerleader. Like, yes, I'm so excited to homeschool. He wasn't. He didn't want to do it. It's not something that he wanted to do. I knew that he would not want to. I tried to make him excited about it, but he just wasn't because of the outside pressures that he received, because he had an expectation of what school was supposed to be and it wasn't. So it was a shocker for him. It really was. And so as much as I'll say set this expectation of letting them know it's going to be so much fun and you're going to do so many exciting things, like, don't put too much pressure on yourself where when it's not like that, then your kids are looking at you sideways like, I thought you said that this was going to be great. You know, this is boring, because it happens. And I feel like a lot of us skate around it, but it happens because for me, he was my only teenager. The other two were smaller, so they're having fun together, but he's like, man, this is boring. So remind yourself of what it's for. It's not to have fun. It's not to socialize. It's to get an education now and later. It's to teach them life lessons for now and for later. So I hope that was helpful. And you're probably wondering now, like, are you still going to homeschool for him for high school? We have all the plans to homeschool him. If that changes, of course, with this being my platform and we kind of talking about homeschool and homeschooling each kid individually, I will let you know once we finalize that decision. But at the moment, he will be in high school here at home. And yes, he is growing to enjoy the time we're spending together more and more. I think he can appreciate it more. Although, of course, he would rather be at a school acting silly and all of that. But as of right now, he can still see his friends and he can still get his education, and we're figuring out what his career path will be. And so we're taking that as the highlights of him really seeing the fruit of his labor, like all his hard work over these last few years, he's able to see how much work he's actually done on himself personally as well as academically. Until next time, friends, I hope you take care and have a beautiful day. Bye, friends.